Hey, it's your boy King Cold, and you're listening to Uncovering the Underground with your host Skippy Ickum, right here on Spreaker Podcast Radio, the show that brings you nothing but underground music.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Uncovering the Underground radio show brought to you by Brutal Business Entertainment and First Angel Media. As always, I'm your host, Skippy Ickum, and I'm glad to have you listening. Whether you are listening for the first time or you're a constant listener, we do want to thank you for tuning in tonight. You can listen to our show live or stream it after the fact. Whatever you choose is fine, and from whatever platform you like to listen to us from Spotify to iHeartRadio to iTunes and everything in between. You listen to where you feel comfortable, click the like, share, and follow buttons, and get that show out there to the folks. The more that you do that, the more that it moves us up the podcast community rankings, the more people that discover the show, and ultimately the more things we can do with the show. Now, please keep in mind, if you tune in from Spreaker, which is our hosting site, spreaker.com, or through the Spreaker app, it does give you the function of instant messaging us during the show, asking the band a question, dropping feedback, and just being a part of it, as we always wish that you would do. We love it when you guys get interactive with the show. We do want to thank Tattooed Scumbag Apparel for everything that they do for the label and for being one of our sponsors. You can check them out at tattooedscumbag.com, and if you use promo code BBE10, you'll get 10% off your overall order, and they make everything from hoodies, beanies, t-shirts, sweatpants, socks, you name it, they make it. good quality gear. It's comfortable. I wear it when I'm on stage, when I'm lying around on the couch at the house, when I'm running to the grocery store. I love their shit. I sponsor it. I love being someone who can help them out as a company and have them help us back. They're a great Pittsburgh company. You guys should certainly check out. Support small business. And we do want to thank Roush Designs, Legion Artworks, 5 Milligram Artworks, and R3 Graphics for everything that they do for the show. And as always, folks, check everything out going on with Brutal Business right now at www.teambrutalbusiness.com. That'll give you updates on everything we're doing, from shows and music to radio to photography, horror review column, paranormal team, and everything in between. We put out a lot of content on a lot of different platforms, so we have something for everybody. Make sure you check us out. We are going to jump into a wonderful interview this evening, and I apologize if I was talking a little funny towards the beginning of the show. I was getting some feedback, and everything I was saying was echoing back for a second. I'm not sure why. It was throwing me off a little bit, folks, so I apologize. But we do have a wonderful band on the line tonight, someone who I have became a new fan of and became a very big fan quickly, and that is UltraViolent. And they are a 4-piece metal band based out of Pine Grove, Pennsylvania. Formed in September of 2014, UltraViolent had a goal in mind to create music they love and share their message with the world as young upcoming artists. UltraViolent started out by performing covers locally to earn the respect of their small hometown. Once UltraViolent knew their direction was taking a more original and heavy turn, they decided to play in cities that catered more to their style of music. In 2016, the band recorded, mixed, and mastered their first EP, 5, all by themselves at the age of only 16 years old. The band then branched out into cities such as Harrisburg, Lancaster, Reading, and performed their original music. Eventually, they were to expand to the surrounding states to perform their captivating live shows. By earning the respect of fans with explosive performances and anthem-like riffs, UltraViolent was a name that quickly became recognized throughout their local scene. In late 2018, the band released their first music video for the song Insult to Injury, the first single from their full-length release Eviction. The video gathered over 32,000 views and 200 shares on Facebook within 2 weeks. UltraViolent followed up their hit with a lyric video for the next single from Eviction, Hay and the Needle Stack, their first release of 2019. This video gathered over 15,000 views on Facebook, and UltraViolent released their debut album Eviction on June 20th of 2019. Eviction is a concept album that describes the timeline between the inception of humanity, our current state of society, and the inevitable end, ultimately done by our own hand. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Brett, Avery, and Danny. Brandon wasn't able to make it tonight, but these fellows make up the band that is UltraViolent. Welcome to the show, guys. I am very happy to have you on tonight. How you all doing?
Good. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you taking time out of your guys' day to jump on with me, shoot the breeze a little bit, and let these fine folks find out about a great band that they certainly need to be listening to. We gave them a little bit of a taste of who you guys are and how you formed, but I always like to hear it from the band, first and foremost. As a traditional interview, I like to start out, how did you guys come together? Were you originally friends? Did you meet each other through the search of trying to become a band? What brought the four of you together?
So Avery and I had been friends for as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
And it was about 2012, honestly, when him and I started playing bass. But the band UltraViolent didn't really start taking form until about 2014. And we had met Brandon through
marching band.
Yeah, marching band in high school. And we had him play with us, as well as we had another guitarist at the time. His name was Kyle, and he was in the marching band too, and he had played with us. And we ended up, Brandon knew Danny. We ended up picking Danny up last year, yeah, around March last year.
He went to school with them at Penn State Schuylkill. They knew each other, and we needed a new guitarist at that time. We brought him in, and we were, beyond impressed with his ability, and we think he's a great addition to the group. So, yeah. But it did all start out. It's been a long time in the making, Like Brett said, we were friends since first grade, playing music together for most of our teen years. Got together in marching band. It was, it's a pretty crazy timeline.
It's always a crazy ride and a crazy journey, forming, being around, coming together. Some pieces change over time. You get the right ones in place of them. And as you said, you guys kind of pieced together the right flow of members, and it brought your sound ultimately full circle to what it is now. And I certainly think you guys have a really good mix of what you do. As we described earlier off the air, a nice version of thrash / groove, metalcore / metal. It has a mixture of a few different elements that I love each individually, but brought together really brings a new sound, a very aggressive, catchy, head-bobbing sound that I think anyone that's going to hear your songs tonight is certainly going to fall in love with.
Yeah, thanks. That sound actually was something that formed pretty recently in our timeline. I'd say probably like 2, maybe 3 years ago that we started actually getting into that. Like our description says, we started out as a cover band. We were just, kids jamming together that were like, oh, wow, we all play the right instruments to form a rock band. And, then our actual musical personalities started developing and coming out, and that's where that, heavy, like aggressive sound comes from. But, also we have many moments in our songs that like kick it back kind of. There's a side of UltraViolent that's super in your face and aggressive, and then there's a side that's like, I want to say existential, and kind of, stuff that makes you think more, I feel like. At least that's in my head.
I feel like, like you said, I feel like that sound didn't really come until after the 5 EP was finished. Because the 5 EP was just like, here's some songs, we're a band. But I feel like the influence of, reaching out to different cities and venues, realizing that we are welcomed to play more of a style that we really wanted to go after, really encouraged us to write songs in that direction, and Eviction ended up being a result of that.
Well, I think, you're going to notice development over time that you don't really know when you form, even if you think you do, what you're going to become. You know what you want to become, but you don't know what you will become. So over time, you start to work together, and what you normally sound like when you start out is not going to be what the band sounds like 5, 6, 7 years later. You're going to notice a tremendous growth, not only in talent and skill and tightness, but also in crafting of a different type of sound. So that's common for you guys to kind of start out one way and craft another way. And even cover bands, that's a good way to start out because you're learning something already structured. So you're learning together how to play together in a structured fashion. And then you start to make your own music. Whereas if you just start out on your own, you got to figure out the structure together rather than just starting with structure. And I think that makes a big difference in how quickly you learn and how much you adapt to one another.
Oh, yeah. I totally agree with that. I couldn't agree more, honestly.
Now, so you guys have been, so correct me if I'm wrong, but 3 out of the 4 of you have been together since the beginning, or no?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's just one piece that needed filled along the way, and then it kind of got yourselves locked in now, which is great.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we found that with Dan.
Oh, go ahead.
I said we found that piece with Danny.
That's perfect. And sometimes there's just certain pieces within the band that, and you guys don't sound like it, obviously. You had a pretty good, past there with not having to go too many people switching in and out. But it's either the guitar player, it's the drummer. For me in bands, it was always the drummer. I always had such a hard time locking in a good drummer that was dedicated, consistent, wasn't crazy. You know what I mean? They could really play with us and have a good time. We'd have good drummers, but that was always our piece. And we never did find that really fucking solid person that we could count on. All the rest of us were brothers, but it was like our drummer was always kind of interchangeable. So I'm glad to hear that you guys found those pieces, because that's important. I mean, how can you ever grow if one of the pieces is weak?
Yeah, dude, Brandon's a crazy drummer. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like I feel like if anything happened to like any of the guys that we have right now, it just wouldn't feel like UltraViolent.
No, it wouldn't. Honestly, we're so fortunate to have had, you know, everything come together as it had, because, you know, so many other bands don't have that same thing. Even bands that experience like great success, you know, they're changing members, you know. It's like, you know how Ghost has those nameless ghouls or whatever? I feel like every band has like a couple of those, you know?
Yeah, they do.
It's like, yeah, it's great. I think that, you know, everybody's personality shines on stage, and it comes together nicely. And I'm so glad that our member problems are, you know, they're in the past.
And just, you know, the big thing is just make sure to always take a step back and remember why you started, remember the feelings from the beginning, and don't let anything kind of cloud up that memory, because as you stay together for years in and years out, sometimes you wear on one another a little bit and you start to get some aggression, and you have to take a step back and say, you know what, take a breath and find the reason that we love each other as brothers and we love each other as a band again. And I think too many bands get so locked in on their vision of forward that they never take that step back, and it ends up eating away at the you know, the structure of the band, and it falls apart. When you take that step back and you can say, hey, we're doing big things right now, we have a lot of pressure, we have a lot of stress, but you know what, we do this because we love each other and we love making music, and then it always stays fresh to you and you can continue to do it. I just think that too many bands get locked in on their vision and don't take time to appreciate the reasons why they got into this.
Oh yeah, that was a huge thing for us too, honestly. You know, being together for a long time like that, it, you know, you have times where you love each other and then you bitterly despise each other, and it's like, you know, getting through that and working together and being like, wow, you know, we're all here for the same reason and we love each other and everything. It's you know, it's a thing. And that's actually funny that you bring that up, because one of our songs on our album called Roots, the reason it's called Roots, well, there's kind of a double meaning. There's a meaning that it has an album, but the reason why it was originally called Roots is because that was a period in our band where we were very, I guess, like distanced from each other. I felt like we were very. It was very hard for us to agree on some of the writing. Yeah, and I feel like part of that was just because of the style that we were writing at the time. Like, the way we write music now is honestly different than how we were writing music during the start and the middle of the creation of Eviction. But yeah, basically Roots came along because we were all having writer's block, and we were just saying to ourselves, like, hey, we need to essentially just go back to our roots. Brandon actually pioneered that. He said it a couple times before it, like, so he's like, we need to go back to our roots. Like, we need to start getting together like 3 times a week and start like going out and having like being friends, you know, rather than just getting together for musical purposes. It's like, let's go have fun together and go out to eat and go out, walk around town and stuff. And we were like, you know what, we're going to do that this practice. And we called a rehearsal and we got together, and it was a great time. And at the end of the night, Brett played this riff. Like, he diddles around on his guitar a lot. And
yeah.
And I was like, yo, that sounds really, really good. I'm sorry, my throat's like really dry for some reason. I was like, that sounds really good. Like, well, we should use that. And we were like, well, what do we call this riff? And I forget who said, but we were like, yo, let's call it Roots, you know, because that's what this night was about. Yeah, we just ordered, like, we said, let's order a pizza and let's come back and let's play some songs and jam and have a good time. Yeah, because back when we played covers, that's like all we would do. Or like
if or like if we were having like any kind of argument or like a disagreement on anything, we're just like, all right, let's just step away. Let's go get
pizza.
Yeah, let's go get a pizza.
Every time.
And we'll come back and we'll play. and it usually worked. And in that case, it worked to our advantage really well. And it was pretty important. So we decided to keep the title. And lucky enough, the title ended up having a pretty strong meaning to the song too. So it all tied together in a really nice way.
Yeah, that song in general is just it became so much more than what it started out as. And you know, I really think it's one of my favorites personally. I love that song, and I think it's just us, you know.
Well, it has to come together, though. You have to, as you said, take time to find the love, you know, as we were mentioning earlier, for one another and be friends. Because, as I said, not only do people lose the sight of YNs got together as a group to make music, and it starts to cause strain on the band, but also just to take time to be friends. And that's the problem, is you get in such a rigmarole of, let's get together, let's practice, let's play our show, let's rehearse, let's go home. Over and over and over and over again. You go to the show, you play, you go home. You don't take time. When's the last time you got together and just hung out as buddies, didn't pick up the guitar, didn't pick up the drumsticks, didn't do vocals, and just literally spent some time together as buddies? And when you do that, those make for the strongest bands and the longest standing bands and relationships, because once you lose sight of your friendship, it's a slippery slope.
It really is. It really, really is.
I think that's why Roots is like a favorite between all members. I think all of us feel pretty strongly about that song, and I think that's a good reason why, is because we were able to take that step back. And I mean, it was a hard song to write, I'll give it that.
Oh, it took the entire 3 years to actually get it to end finally.
Yeah, it was a very hard song, but I mean, you know, once we got it going and we have this awesome story that we can tell behind that song, I think that just makes it that much better.
Yeah,
it does. I mean, when you have a backstory to it that maybe not everybody knows, they love the song, they really, you know, vibe to it, but they have no idea the interpersonal meanings that it means to you and how it came about. I always find those to be the best.
Mm-hmm. They definitely are, and I think we can say that about this album.
Good. And I mean, I think it's definitely, from what I've heard so far, it's an amazing album. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it? The album is called Eviction. And, you know, you released that last year, I'm guessing, correct?
Yes.
That's what I thought I read in the bio, was last year. Okay. And how many songs is on that album?
12.
Okay. That's about what I usually put on an album. I think 12 is a really good number for an album.
Yeah.
We had a discussion a couple shows ago about that. I feel like if you're less than 10, it's not really an album. If you're an artist that puts like 17, 18 songs on an album, I feel like that's overkill. And because of that, what I find happening a lot of times for artists who do that is you have a lot of gems on the album that never get recognition, because people will remember the first 5 songs that are dope. They'll remember maybe the last songs of the album, but somewhere along the way, they forget and stop caring about several of the other songs. So number 13, number 15, they don't hear them anymore. Number 13 and 15 might be 2 of your best songs you've ever written. So I feel like 10 to 12 songs is a really efficient amount of material to give someone. It's enough to keep them, you know, completely satisfied with the product that they purchased or listened to, but little enough that they lose, you know, sight of it and they get bored and they leave. So I think that's important. That's a good number.
Yeah, that was the, you know, amount of songs that were going to be on the album was actually like a big discussion that we had on it. You know, there was a question of, do we split this into 2 EPs? Do we, you know, we can have another release and do all that, and, you know, might be more economic for us. But in the end, we decided, yeah, we want an album. You know, like, there's EPs, but, you know, the album is our legacy, and we want to be 60 years old looking back and be like, wow, you know, we made this thing and it's art to us, you know. And there's discussion on how we're going to proceed with, like, future albums. Like, we talk, you know, we recognize, again, we want to do an album, but it's like, do we do the 12 songs? Do we aim for like 8 to 10? Like, I don't know. I feel like in this day, 8 to 10 is all right for an album, you know?
It can be. I mean, I think that it depends on how you market it. We have that discussion a lot on the show as far as, because I bring a lot of hip-hop artists. I'm a hip-hop artist myself and also a metal kid, but I bring a lot of hip-hop artists on, and you get a lot of variation of the amount of songs that is felt that needs to be on an album. And it you know, different people have different opinions. At one point in time, you could never, you know, just get by doing just singles or call an album a 5-song an album, you know, it's an EP. But now people are able to market things a little bit different. You can release a single, push the hell out of it for 2 months, release another single, push the hell out of it for 2 months, and just keep doing that. You don't even need to release CDs and EPs anymore. And that's a mind-bending thing because I come from an era that's not the case.
Right. And that's a crazy thing too. Like, I mean, that's the big thing, you know. If we have this 10 to 12 song album, you know, like you said, there's going to be gems on there that are going to be lost in time, and we actually have experienced that. There's probably like two songs on the album that just don't get loved, and then you know really deserve to.
Well, I mean, I think that I think making the full length album was the right move in this case, because not only did it give us the chance to, you know, actually tell this entire story the way that we wanted to, without having to split it up in any kind of way, but it also creates, I think, a bigger separation from our EP, which is also kind of what we were going for too. Like this was kind of like the reboot of the band was Eviction, like the fresh start, like the sound that we wanted to be known for.
Yeah, like this was the album that would put our EP to rest, because, you know, we ended up being like, oh yeah, you know, the quality's really bad. It's just a whole completely different band, and you know, I'll love it forever. I still have the CD in my car and I play it every once in a while, but you know, it's just not us anymore. And I'm very comfortable with it being a memory, you know.
But it's a good memory, though. It's a memory that forged the beginning of you guys as a band, and I think you did it right, because coming out with an EP, you have bands that come out that no one's ever heard of, and they release like a 16-song album, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you just wasted all that, because by the time people figure out who you are and you build a fan base, that album is outdated and old, and they don't care anymore, so you did yourself an injustice. But starting out with an EP, and then getting some traction, getting some people paying attention, and then slapping them with a very fierce full-length album like you guys did, that's when people are like, oh shit, these dudes are for real. And then from there, you have the option of picking. Do we do another full-length? Do we do an EP? What do we do? Do we do singles? But you have the option now, because you've established the focus and the fan base that now is paying attention, that you can do what you want. But you never just come in with a full-length album from the gate, and you never just come in with singles from the gate, because then no one pays attention in either form. You have to find that middle ground, which is the EP. From the EP, you extended the album. So you guys did very well in that fact.
Thanks. We had no idea what we were doing. We didn't plan that, but what you said makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
We just went with how we grew into it.
Yeah.
But, you know, you said, that makes sense. And it was like, it did work out very well for us in the end.
Well,
you know?
We're lucky enough to have the capabilities to do that because of
the home studio.
Yeah, because of recording everything ourselves. We're not out here spending thousands of dollars, so that's not really a factor when we have the discussion of do we make a full length versus an EP. Really, the only discussion ends up being like, okay, it's going to take more time and the potential of some songs, you know, some gems maybe getting lost in there. But I believe in, you know, if you write good music and if you push it the right way and people listen to it, you know, those songs will get noticed. Like Steel Rain on Eviction is like our biggest, in terms of numbers, song.
Oh yeah, our biggest song,
and
for sure.
And it wasn't even a single.
No.
It'll usually happen that way. The thing is, the song that you expect to be a hit, a lot of times won't be. And the song that you expect that most people aren't going to give a damn about will be the one that everyone talks about. It just happens to go that way a lot of times.
Yeah.
That's all right, though. That's what it's about, is you can have your own individual favorites and your fans can. It doesn't always have to be the same. Now, sometimes people get upset because that, they'll say, well, we put our heart and soul into this song and no one loves it. Well, that's okay. You guys love it. And as long as you love it, that's all that really ever mattered. If the fans love it, that's a bonus.
Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, that is a thing though. Like, I guess, when considering like something like length is like, because we put like everything into the songs to make it perfect for the four of us. Like we want it to be perfect and everything. And then it's like, oh shit, like, now our fans, like, people will listen to this one and it's like, we probably worked the most on it, stuff like that. But you're right. It's definitely about, what you're into. Like, I know that, our last song, Revelation, is a really important song to everybody, and it's an instrumental. It's like 7 minutes. It's not designed for people to be like, oh wow, love this song. But it actually turned out that a lot of people who listened to the album were like, yeah, that was one of my favorite ones. But
we do have a lot of longer songs. 5 being the longest at a little over 7.5. Revelation, I think, is about 6:50. And Roots is like 6:30.
Yeah, and these songs aren't, they're not the perfectly packaged, marketable songs, but it's like, our people don't care, and we don't, it's something we love,
I mean, I think the great thing about songs like that is, it's good if it doesn't feel like it's that long. Like, if a song feels like it's 6.5 minutes long, it might not be the best song. But, like, if you can listen to the song straight through and enjoy the whole thing, and then you look at the clock and it's like 6-7 minutes later, and you're like, oh my God, I didn't even know. Like, I was just so invested in this song.
Yeah.
No, that's a good thing, is you want it to take you on a journey, and you want to be like, oh shit, the journey's going to end. I didn't want it to end. You know what I mean? You want it to take you somewhere that you ride along with it. You're not watching the clock saying, when's it going to end? You're going to say, oh shit, it's already ending. And then you realize how long it is, and you're like, that was a 5-minute song. What a crazy journey they took me on. And that's what you want out of a band. We talked about that too as a topic, because it's become more popular to make shorter songs. It's become more popular to release singles, like I said, but you have a lot of people making 2.5, 3-minute songs, which there's nothing wrong with that from time to time, but you have people that are consistently making 2.5-minute songs, and I guess, if it works for you, it works for you. But it's just wild, especially when being, a radio host. I'll bring people on, like, we're going to commercial break. I'll hit the play button. I'll sit back, and it's like I blink my eyes twice, and I'm like, oh shit, we're back on already. And it's pretty wild that that's become a kind of normal for the scene nowadays, both in metal and in hip hop.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we really, like, when we're writing, like, usually at the start of a song, we never are like, okay, we're going to make a 7-minute song right now.
No.
Yeah,
like,
it just kind of happens.
Yeah.
Like, we find that a lot of radio places, like, I can see why a lot of people make short songs, because it's tough to get played in a lot of the cases, and for us, like, we aren't necessarily looking to make something that just gets play. We'd rather make something with integrity and really enjoy what we're playing and what we're making. We don't want to sell out, in a sense. So,
and that alone makes all of the music better, even the songs that are 3.5 minutes. It just makes that better because it's all written with the integrity.
Yeah, you have to let it take its own flow, for sure. I mean, you can't, as you guys said, you can't go into a song saying we're going to write a 6-minute and 22-second song. I mean, you got to let it obviously kind of come together as it does. I just think that it's become the norm to write quick little diddles to put out, and we actually have a fan commenting in right now in the chat saying, as a fan, I find myself often saying, my only problem with this song is that it's too short. I am not a fan of the move to shorter songs. I hear you 100%. Thank you for the comment. I agree. In some senses, short songs can be good, but my songs as a hip-hop artist have always stayed around at least 3.5 to 4.5 minutes. I have some 5s. I don't go much longer than that because in hip-hop you don't really break the 5 too often, but I would. But I mean, I know a lot of people I interview on the hip-hop side are giving me 2-minute songs. I'm shitting you not. There was one cat I had on the show. He gave me 3 songs, and each one was no more than 1:37 seconds long, 1:40 seconds, 1:22. And I'm like, how do you even make a 1:22 song? I'm like, I'm just getting amped up to really tell you my journey.
Yeah, that's a sample.
I mean, I think, I mean, there's definitely been times where, like, towards the end of the process of a song, we might say to each other, like, all right, we might want to shorten this. Like, if we feel like a verse or a chorus, like, in general is, like, really long.
Oh, it's dragging on.
Yeah,
if we think it's dragging.
If it's dragging on, you know, we might shorten it. There's never been a time where we said, this song's 4.5 minutes, but let's make it 7. Like, you know, that's never happened. It's just, you know, if the story comes together right and all the pieces fit together and it doesn't really feel like a 7-minute song, but it takes you on that journey and it works, then, I mean, it works. Like again, 5 is a 7.5-minute song, but we play it, some variation of it at every show, and it's a favorite.
Oh yeah, it's a fan favorite for sure. We like close with that song like almost always. But I wanted to say about like the like 1.5-minute songs. I feel like there's a way you can do it, and it's like real shitty. But I feel like there is a way to do that and be like, yeah, you know, this still has integrity. This is still good. But it's just kind of like you need to let the song speak for itself. Is it a song that it's like it plays for 1.5 minutes and that's all the song had to say? Like, yeah, I do think that those exist, you know. But like that's all the song needed, you know.
I think that, don't get me wrong, I think it's allowable for 1 to 2 songs in an artist's career to be 1.5 minutes long. But when it starts getting to a repetitious thing where you're like, I put out my last album, it was 17 tracks. And you're like, bro, how long of an album is that? You're like, the runtime on it is 26 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, then you got to start questioning things a little bit. Like, are you kidding me right now?
Our EP was 5 tracks, and the runtime on that was like 40-some minutes, 40-some minutes.
Yeah.
Well, I need you guys to do me a favor. So you have a song called 5, and it's 7.5 minutes long.
Yeah.
I need you to write a song called 7.5 and make it 5 minutes long.
There you go.
Just mind boggle everyone that you come in contact with at a show.
Yeah. No, it's a great idea. We need to get on it right.
You need to get on it right now. The second we hang up this phone call tonight, I expect progress, fellas. No, but for real though, guys, I do want to play you a song of these gentlemen that we've been hanging out with for the last 37 minutes. This first song, it's up to you guys. You sent me 3. Which one do you want to jump into first?
Well, we got Insult, we got Steel Rain, and we got Needle Sack. Which one do we want to do?
Why don't we start out? Let me start out with Steel Rain. What do you think?
You want to start?
Yeah. Let's do Steel Rain. Start it off.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, you heard it. We're gonna play you a song called "Steel Rain" by UltraViolent, and this is some absolutely amazing shit. So make sure you check it out, share it around, give these guys a like, and we'll be right back in a couple minutes here on Uncovering the Underground. All right, guys, we are back on Uncovering the Underground radio show, and that was the song Steel Rain by UltraViolent. They've been hanging out with us for the last 42 minutes. We've been picking their brain on the last album called Eviction that they released last year, about their EP before that, how they got formed, a little bit about their backgrounds, and we still got a good bit more for you, so stick around. If you are just tuning in now for the first part of this episode and you've missed the beginning, don't worry. After the live portion is over, you can always go back and listen from the start. You can download the episode as well, so you can take it with you wherever you want to go, to the gym, on your ride to work, whatever, if you're still working it, that is. Obviously, we're in strange times, folks. But stay safe out there. Make sure you listen to some UTU and have a good time doing so. Check out all present and past episodes, and make sure you give these guys a like, share, and a follow. And again, that is UltraViolent. They are a Pennsylvania metal band. I like to call them thrash groove metal, as we were talking about earlier. Great characteristic of these guys. Great song, fellas. I definitely dig that jam a lot.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
that's a favorite.
Yeah.
They're all favorites to some extent, right?
Yeah. Steel Rain was one of those songs that it started out, and it was actually, like, I remember a few of us were like, oh, yeah, that's probably going to be like a filler song. And I don't know, like, it just needed a huge overhaul, and it definitely got one. And by the time that overhaul was done, we were all like, dude, this song is like one of the best ones. It's going to be one of the best ones on the album.
Yeah.
It really had a glow up, you know.
It's one of my favorite live songs to play.
Oh, same here. It's just a great, I think, a combination of our taste. You know, you got the aggressiveness in the verses, then you got the choruses that, you know, have the clean vocals in. You got a bunch of like sick riffs, and then you got the breakdown, which I think is probably, I'd say, probably the best, if not one of, you know, on the album.
I think it rivals Roots pretty well.
Yeah,
that was one of the best, but it is great. Yeah, it's something that the fans can get into, and again, it's not a long song. It's 3.5 minutes or so, but it does have every element pretty much that we have. It's got like it's got the screams, you know, it has the cleans, and a lot of our stuff has really fast-paced vocals in it, and this song has that as well.
Yeah, it's just, you know, with that song, we tried to keep the intensity up the entire time, and you know,
but it's also dynamic too, because of the chorus. You know, it definitely changes up. It's not the same 3 minutes in. You know, you have the clean guitar intro before it all kicks into the madness. So
no, like I said, I love your guys' sound. I love you keep it something that I want to listen to. So as every time I've listened to it so far, I enjoy the journey. It isn't just something that drowns out the background noise behind me. It's something I'm actually paying attention to. I put it on to want to listen to the riffs and hear the changes that you guys did. As I said before, I talk to a lot of bands, I meet a lot of bands, and there's certain ones that stick out, and I really think you guys have a great sound that certainly if you continue to push it and push it hard, it's going to reach a lot of ears.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I remember when I was trying out to be in the band last year before our Trap and Saliva show, Avery was showing me, like, teaching me some of the songs, and when he played Steel Rain, even when it was still in its demo stages, my jaw dropped. Like, that was one that I was like, no way you guys wrote that.
That's awesome though. When you hear something, you're like, oh wow, I mean, this is us. Like, this is our music.
Really excited about it.
it's kind of, I don't really know how to explain it other than I feel like our style is kind of like an acquired taste. Like, people, like, a lot of our fans, and even like when Danny first joined the band, it wasn't really a style that they were used to hearing, which, I mean, is good, but you know, once they listen to it more,
it really grows on you.
It really grows on you. Like, even when we first started the band, like, we weren't as heavy as we are now.
No.
And we weren't listening to the kind of music we are now. And we kind of grew into the style, and our we grew into the style at the same time as our fans did. So that was really cool to see. We were surprised how some of our fans took some of these songs. Like, when we went heavier on songs like Cataclysm and Hey in the Needle Stack, we were I don't want to say we were worried, but we weren't sure how many of the people that had followed us up until that point were gonna
we're gonna like that.
Yeah, we're gonna like those songs, and they ended up doing well.
Yeah, they ended up becoming just like, what was it, like cult classic or something like that. Like, yeah.
Well, I mean, Needle Stack was a single, but I mean, Cataclysm, you could say.
Yeah, that Cataclysm definitely one of those. Like there's just a few songs that like we get this a lot, and that's like, you know, oh, I heard it, and like the first time I was like, yeah, it's, you know, it's all right. But then, like, the second, third time, it just, like, grows on you. And I do feel like that's a majority of the music.
Danny's dad was that way, too.
Yeah, Danny's dad listens to, like, nothing. He was like, oh, you know, this metal, you know, and
he might be listening right now.
Shout out Dan Corey.
Yeah, he tells me, like, all the time, he's like, oh, and Cataclysm. And, like, he's just like, I don't listen to this type of music. And he's like, but I really like Cataclysm. I'm like, sweet. Like, that's just so, like, nice to hear.
And honestly, I guess that's our goal.
Yeah, that's our goal, you know. Spreading
our music, our style to people. And to have people that normally wouldn't appreciate it and enjoy it do that is a really awesome feeling.
Spread the love of metal.
Yeah.
You have to. And I mean, when you play what is true to you, and you were happy with it and it feels good to you, the people that it was meant for, whether that's the people you thought or not, it's going to find the right ears. And for the people who don't appreciate it, they don't like it, that's okay. It's just you're past that. You've grown past that stage. So when you said you used to sound a little different, and maybe you gained some fans, maybe you lost some fans after the sound change, that's okay because you still gave them something they enjoyed before, but now you've grown, and growth sometimes takes unexpected changes, and not everybody can always be around for the ride, but it's going to hit the ears that it needs to.
Exactly.
Yeah, it would be a lot harder to write an album if we tried to base it off of the sound that we used to be, as opposed to what we are now.
Yeah,
and I don't think anyone wants to do that.
Yeah, it was all over the place. It was like, you know, oh, here are these two like heavy songs, and then here's this '80s rock ballad, and then
here's this pop.
Here's this pop punk, fire up, yeah, it's pop it was like a pop punk.
And then
song.
Here's this Dollar Store Death Punch song. Like,
yeah, like dude, we definitely were just that whole era was just us kind of figuring out our identity, like what we were going to become. And I think that Eviction really brought that out. We've kind of found that.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, even though the 5 EP isn't really, it doesn't really play as much of a part now because of Eviction being out, I still think it was an important step because if it wasn't for the EP, we wouldn't have the sound that we have now.
No, yeah, you got that right.
It's a good test run. You see what all you need to fix, and, you build off of that.
Well, and that'll always be the case, though. Even listening to Eviction at some point down the road, once you're writing the new album and you start to look back on it, you're like, we love that album, but here's things I would have done different or would have fixed. I still appreciate it, but I'm going to learn from that. And you're going to continue to do that. And I always tell everyone, if you get to the point where you don't do that, don't think it's because you're a master. Think it's because you've gotten complacent, and you probably need to consider that. Because if you get to a point that you say, man, we did everything perfect, then it's time to call it quits.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you lost your luster, because you have to have that burning desire to always want to be better than you are right now. And when you get to the point where you're I
feel like that's a fine line, because you could argue that, if you say it's perfect, like you're just kind of in it to you're in it because you love being in a band and you made the songs and you all agreed on it and you're happy with the product. So I mean, it's a double-sided.
It is. I mean, you always got to be happy with what you make. I don't want it to sound like you don't want to take time to appreciate it, but you want to appreciate it and at the same time say, how am I going to top this next time?
Totally. I think Eviction's a great piece that we could look at and be like, wow, look at how much, like, to us, it's a milestone of the progress we've made. We're really happy with the sound in it, but we don't want to, we're not going to try to recreate Eviction when we make another album. We want to be able to make something better. Our only way we want to go is forward in terms of quality. Like, I mean, of course, like you said, we still don't want to step away too far from our roots, but I mean, we like it enough to appreciate it. But yeah, I know what you mean. Like you want to be able to enjoy what you have
Well,
not get complacent on it.
Well, the new stuff already sounds, different. Like, it's more, some of it's even more proggy too. Like, a lot of times signature changes. But like Danny, like you and I had been talking about the other day, the new stuff just kind of takes both ends of the spectrum, like the heavy aspects and the not so heavy aspects, and just kind of widens that gap. Like, there's a lot of bits on here that are heavier than what Eviction was, and then there's a lot of bits on here that are have a lot of clean passages that were could end up being lighter than some of the stuff on Eviction. So
the duality's still there, but there's a wider range of it.
And that's good though. That's good to have that. I mean, like I said, that's fruitful for your next project. You don't want to stay complacent, because too many people do get complacent. They're like, I got this shit in the bag. As soon as you start feeling like that, like we don't need to progress anymore, then your music starts to slack and you don't realize it, but the fans do. That's why you always have to keep pushing and keep putting out that product. But like you said, you do want to take time to appreciate it, because if you don't, then you burn yourself out and you're never happy.
Right. But yeah, what we're seeing here is definitely like, we're still evolving. We're not done yet. Eviction wasn't, our peak. We still have greater things to accomplish, I think.
I believe some of the songs we already have here are gonna top some songs from Eviction. Absolutely.
Yeah, we're excited to share those when we have them.
Oh yeah.
Well, question on the new album. So the last one, Eviction, was a concept album. Is that in plan for the new album? Or are you going to go kind of different with that? What is your plan going forward? Do you have a plan yet?
No, but
but
that's what just happens. We did not have a plan at all going into Eviction. But I know it's going to happen. Like, we're not just going to be like, here's a collection of songs. Like, there's, we like that too much.
As of right now, I mean, there's no intention on a concept album for the new stuff, simply because, I mean, it did take a lot of work, which, don't get me wrong, was definitely worth it, and I'm glad we did it. But I feel like we're just making songs right now for the heck of it. And that's what we did for Eviction too. Like, when we first started writing Eviction, even kind of halfway through, we had no concept album intentions until we noticed all the songs kind of taking on, a life of their own, and we ended up making them link together. And it just ended up being something that we can look back on and be really proud of.
Yeah. Still, I do envision a theme of some sort, like,
For the new stuff, you mean?
Yeah, the new stuff. Like, this new album, I feel like we're going to find a way to tie them in together. I don't know. I love that aspect of doing it. I think it takes the album from a collection of songs to a work of art, in my opinion. Or I guess more. Nah, I don't know.
It's a journey. It takes you on a journey, man. When you have a concept to it, it isn't multiple thoughts. It's something that's all a collective of similar thoughts, but taking you on a ride. And that's what, certain times you can give people. But as you said, you don't necessarily have to do that again because you've done it once. So it's not that you necessarily have to make that a common occurrence, but it stands out when you do.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
And I think, because this time around we have Danny with us from, the start of the entire writing process for this new stuff. So his influence is going to be a lot heavier on the new stuff as well.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see the finished product with Dan because, Dan only joined the band pretty much when the album was.
Well, he joined in March of 19, and the album came out in June. So
yeah, he wasn't in for long. So we had most of the stuff already written, and he's already proved for this album that he's writing good stuff. And we're all like, wow, you know what? We're gonna use this for a main riff of a song. And Danny's definitely, he just came in here. We brought him in because we're like, yeah, guitar player, he gets along with everybody. And now it's like we have him in the band, and it's like, wow, we really connect on like musically too.
Yeah, that was kind of the final test, I think, for Danny, because at first we were like, all right, we have these shows coming up, but we need another guitar player. All right, Dan, come play with us.
Yeah, that's
so
what
he
took
did.
Dan from being a good fit to just a great fit.
Yeah, and we were talking amongst each other. We were like, do we let him in the band yet? And then we were like, well, I mean, I wonder how he's gonna do, when he starts writing new music with us. Like, what if we let him in the band and he wants to write, completely different style of music than the rest of us? Then it's like we made a mistake, but no, it ended up being great.
Yeah, I came in with a pretty open mind of like, I didn't really know exactly what the sound was because we didn't really have an album out yet at the time. So like when I came into writing parts of Eviction, my influence on it wasn't really much because I joined really late into the process, but now like being a part of writing things from the start, I think really, it really shows that it comes out well. I think we've come up with some pretty good stuff so far.
Yeah, dude, I'm very excited, and this next album's not. It's not like there's gonna be no hints of Eviction of that sound still in it.
Yeah.
3 of us are that wrote Eviction are still in this, but you have a new aspect too.
And recording it at the same place. I mean, the sound,
right?
Just the general sound of that's going to play into that. And yeah, I'm excited. Even if we don't go, the concept route, I don't view the next album as a step down because it's still an evolution and it's still songs that I'm growing to love, and I can't be more excited to release.
Oh, I imagine.
It's crazy with like the anticipation, because it's like we see what we're growing into, but the rest of the world does not know yet. And we're probably, the album's probably going to be in the making for at least another year, and it's exciting, but it's also like, oh man,
it's a weird timeline between us and fans because like if we're coming close to the end of an album, like that sound is who we are in that moment, but people still listening to us think that we sound like Eviction, even though at that time Eviction could be 2-3 years old.
We're already evolving, and it's like, yeah, our sound is already changing from Eviction.
We can tell you this though, the new stuff, something that is pretty consistent is there's melody to a lot of it, and when it hits at parts, it fucking hits.
Yeah, you got that right. We did, yeah.
Well, I can't wait to hear it, guys. I'm definitely looking forward to the new material when it comes out. You definitely have a fan in me. Tell you what, before we go too much deeper into that, let's jump into one of the other 2 tracks. Which one do you want to hit them with now?
Let's turn it up and let's hit Hey in the Needle Stack.
All right, you heard it, folks. This is Hey in the Needle Stack. We'll be right back on Uncovering the Underground.
Reality, I don't
All right, folks, you heard it. That was Hay in a Needle Stack. And we've been, hanging out with UltraViolent for the last hour, picking their brains, finding out who they are. Make sure you click the like, share, and follow button on this episode and share it around to your family and friends if you're liking what you're hearing. Make sure you check out all of our past episodes as well. But we got a little bit left in the show, and we're going to be picking their brain a little further. That was Hay in a Needle Stack, and that was off their last album, Eviction, which dropped last year. We talked a little bit about that, a little bit about what's coming up in the future. Now we're going to get into some different type of questions here. I want to know from you guys, if you had to choose one or the other, and the options being the following. You can choose to make a hit that'll set you guys for life, and you'll be famous. Everyone will love your song. You'll make the money that you want. You and your families are set. But every other song that you write after that point, it just falls upon deaf ears. Everybody compares you to that one song always and forever. Or do you write song after song after song that feels like hits to you, but no one listens to them and everyone thinks they're garbage?
Fun. I mean, I don't know. I feel like if we do have a hit and we do write other songs that other people try to compare to the one that blew up, I mean, that's always going to happen. If you have a song that blows up that people are familiar with, they're always going to compare your future stuff to it. But I feel like we would still be true to ourselves in terms of writing, because the song that would have blown up was probably a song where we were true to ourselves. So, I mean, we would still like this, we'd still be in love with the stuff that, even if other people didn't like it, it's like, whatever, we wrote it for us.
Yeah. Honestly, we do write it for us. And it's like when you said, you put out this massive single, it gets real big, but then the rest falls on deaf ears. Or I think the other decision was,
so the choices were that you can either become vastly famous and rich off of a one-hit wonder type deal and never be able to hit that height again, or you make song after song that's true to you and you love it. You absolutely think it's an amazing song, but every time you play it to someone in high hopes that they're going to love it, everybody's like, dude, this shit sucks. Which one do you pick? Do you take the happy with yourself but never get anywhere and never get any recognition, or do you take all the recognition and fame but you can never write a song past that one hit?
Well, I feel like if we would write a hit like that, we would still probably end up liking what we release after that. Even if they do fall on deaf ears, it's like, we're still gonna like whatever, what we create. So, yeah, I guess I'd say that.
Yeah, if your options come down to, like, if we had a hit song but we wouldn't like our music after that, then that's where the problem would arise. But, like, regardless, you know what I mean? If people didn't like our music, whether we made a hit song and people didn't like it after, or if we never made a hit song and people didn't like it, I'd prefer to have one where people at least like something.
Trust
check
me,
us out more then.
If we made a hit song and I don't have to work another day in my life because of that, I'm not gonna complain.
That is cool, and like you said, like not work another day in your life. You spend that time writing music that you like.
Right. Yeah.
I don't need to make any more money. I mean, in this music industry, it's probably not going to be the case, but in a hypothetical world,
Yeah, like situationally, that's a tough choice to make. But I mean, in reality, like we would love recognition for our music, but no matter what our recognition is and what stage we're at, we don't want to stop making. Like the reason we make music is because we love making music. We're musicians. We love to do it. It isn't.
Well, I think the whole point here is that no matter what happens, is like our style isn't gonna get away from us. Like I feel like we're still gonna make music that we want to make.
Well, that's the thing is you can continue to make what you enjoy doing, and that's the part of the question that's fun. I like to hear what different people's takes are on it. But if you make that one hit, you might never be able to make that second hit. You might not be a multi-hit star, but you made that one hit. all your other stuff, you can still stay true to yourself. You're real rich and famous, and you don't have to work, and you can spend all the time making the music that maybe not everybody else appreciates, but you appreciate it, and there's always going to be at least someone else that likes it. You know what I mean? So you kind of win either way in that case.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to talk about traps like that, but
don't want to jinx you. I don't want that to all of a sudden happen for you guys. Or maybe I do want it to happen. I guess I do want you guys to become rich.
Hey, so
I mean, I'd rather have one hit than 0 hits, I guess.
No, that's the way of looking at it too.
Yeah,
but I mean, the thing we most crave is to be happy doing this. Whether we have a ton of fans or not, we want to be able to still enjoy what we're doing, because ultimately, you can't put a price tag on a smile.
Yeah,
that's it.
Wow, but that was hard, Danny.
I am.
I feel like. Wait, did you have Chinese earlier today? Did you pull that out of a fortune cookie?
Corona's going around. I didn't even
I want to say, though, I feel like the time it would stop being fun for me, that, like, yes, we do write these music for ourselves, but the time it would stop being fun for me would be when our, like, tight-knit group, like, stops at, like, enjoying it.
Like the supporters, the diehard.
Yeah, like we enjoy a fan base that is like you have like a small faction of it that's like super dedicated, and they're like our friends, but they're they're just so supportive, and like we're all missing shows right now. Like we're you know everybody's like friends with each other, and those just like make the best memories, the best times, and you know we're talking like 20, 30 people. But like they like come to all our shows, dude. Like they're amazing, and it consists of family and friends. And it's just like, man, you know, I feel like the day we put out something that those guys don't like, then you know it would be a lot less fun for me. You know?
Yeah, they're so supportive. Like, you know, whenever we drop a new song, album, merch, anything, we can always count those people in as like, yeah, they're gonna.
It's like those guys are, you know, and
like we don't have to be as afraid to try something because we know they're gonna support. And if not,
that's important.
And like those are, like I feel like those people are who we do it for. And you know, if you're listening to this right now, you know if it's you.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean the people that voted on Facebook
to
give us this interview in the first place, you know.
Yeah.
That's funny that you bring that up. I wanted to actually kind of talk a little bit about that. You know, you found me, or I found you, vice versa, whatever, at the Music Mania event by DI Records that they were throwing, and we were doing a sponsorship there and giving away a radio interview to the winner, but unfortunately, along the way, I guess another band deleted you off the contest, or something happened that you got kind of booted. What ended up being the story there?
No, I think that was another band in there, but we did see that happen, and that really sucked.
Okay, I thought I didn't remember if that was you guys or not, because I know that Dakota, he'd put us in contact with one another, and he said that he was sending over someone from the contest. I thought it was one of the bands that got booted. I didn't realize you guys didn't, but either way, how do you feel about the contest? How did you get perceived there? What was the fans' reactions during that? Because you guys did pretty well.
I think that, like, honestly, for me, it was just a really fun thing to do during this time, like where, you know, coronavirus and no shows. It was great to kind of, you know, get in touch with like our base again, because, you know, we're not playing live. And honestly, I just really enjoyed the excitement of it, because it was so close between us and this other band. Like, it was, dude, they were just a little bit ahead of us the whole time. It was crazy. We were like, what's going on?
They kept going ahead. Like, it was a really close race.
Yeah, and it was fun. It was like 2-3 days or whatever, and it was really intense. It was fun.
You know, you end that poll an hour before or an hour later, and you might have a different winner. So, I mean, you would never know. 10 votes up. Up, now we're tied. Now we're 10 votes down. Up, now we're tied. Now we're 10 votes up.
At the time it ended, the other band was 17 votes ahead, and we were like, oh. But
yeah, and it
was fun. It was cool.
We got more votes than we had even thought we were going to get.
Yeah, we thought we were going to enter the match and get, we probably thought 300-400 votes. No, we had, what was it?
1.3 or 4K.
Yeah.
It was really flattering.
No, that's awesome, man. You want to get out there. That's why those contests are good, and I believe in what Dakota's doing. So much love to Dakota from DI Records, doing a lot of great things for the underground scene. Me and him partner up from time to time on certain projects, and I always like working with him. So much love for the connection. I was able to come across you guys, which I'm certainly a fan, as I said, and I believe the other band was Aurora in Peril.
Yes.
Yes, and we actually have them coming on the show here in a couple weeks. We're bringing them on as well, so we get to kind of hear from both of you, which did very good in that contest, and that's awesome, man. I'm really glad he put that together, because that's what it's all about. If you walk away from it with a great connection, everything works. That's what it's all for. You don't even need to win. Sometimes you meet the right people during that, and you're like, oh, if it wouldn't have been right here at this time, this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't win, but we got, we got a bunch of stuff out of it.
Yeah, honestly, I was not concerned about winning at all. I was surprised. I didn't even think we were going to get anything for second place, and then we did. It was like, oh,
yeah.
So it did.
I was hyping the guys up. I'm like, yo, we need to get people voting here. We're gonna get a lot of cool stuff here, and then.
Yeah. No, it was cool, but I also felt like it served as a rally almost.
Yeah, it was like we kind of re-sparked our name after not being able to really do much.
Yeah, and our friends were all like, oh, we voted and we're sharing it and everything, and it's like, that's cool that even in times that we're not playing live and we're not having shows, that we can still actually connect with each other and have fun over the band.
Dedication is key.
Yeah, and the band has always been something that brings us together, like us and our group and our friends and everything. It's always just been kind of a thing, just, if anything, excuse to get together. And that's what I love about our shows,
Well, hopefully soon enough they'll be back again, I'm hoping. I mean, I hope this stuff doesn't linger on too long, because I think everybody's a little bit eager at this point to get out, really get back to seeing some shows, get to some concerts. So many great concerts canceled this year, unfortunately, but, I understand it. But at this time, I think most of us are needing and itching to get out to a show.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you need your fix of a show, we're going to be live streaming tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, anyone listening?
Great interlude right into that. Yes, absolutely. I did see that you guys were doing a performance tomorrow. Tell the fans a little bit about where they can check that out and what time.
Okay, so it's a performance to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of 570 Press, which is from our area. And if you go on their Facebook page, it's just called 570 Press. I think you can find the event page pretty much in there, but there's going to be 5 performers, I think. We go on at about 8:30 p.m. tomorrow, but every one of those performers is going to be live streamed into that event page. I think it's called 570 Press.
I'm sure we'll share it.
Yeah,
we're going to share it. So you can go on our Facebook page and we'll have it shared, and you can see it on there too. But
yeah, it's going to be exciting. We're going to be playing with some other bands that we're pretty much good friends with, like Blind Choice.
Yeah, Jake Langley's playing.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll play a song that we don't normally play. I don't know.
There you go, folks. There's the hint. Watch out for it. You might get some hidden gems tomorrow night. Make sure you check that out. If you are interested in this band, click the like, share, and follow button. Get them out there and get people checking them out. Support them. That is, as I always say, the lifeblood of the scene is you guys clicking those buttons, sharing them around, listening to them, and showing up to a show once we're finally allowed to do so. But in the meantime, they're doing some very, bright ideas with doing the live performances and the live streams. It's great that in times like this, we still find ways to get entertainment to the fans.
Definitely. That's an important part of it too. Just giving our people, who are missing out on shows that could have been.
Just to remind them that, we didn't forget.
We're
dying.
Forget about you,
Like I feel like every time we play a live show, it's for us at least, it's like a big party because we get to see all our friends.
Oh, dude, it's such a party. Every show is so fun. Like, I'll remember this when I'm like 7 years old in nursing home and be like, oh, man, I love playing shows.
Back in my day.
Yeah, back in my day, we'd go to the venue and it'd be awesome.
So, yeah, I mean, this is the closest thing we can really do, and hopefully everyone enjoys it. Hopefully we can set it up decently.
Yeah,
really.
I think it was said right there, folks. And with that, I'm going to drop you into their last song. We'll come back and wrap up the evening's events here. But this song is called Insult to Injury today. Insult to Injury. What a great tune that is right there. UltraViolent. We've been hanging out with them for the last hour and about 22 minutes at this point. Loving their jams, loving giving you guys something new to jam and listen to. So if you like them, share them around. They have a live stream show tomorrow night. You can go to their page, click the link, watch them and several other performances happening for you. In a time of pandemonium and panic, people are still bringing you content, as we said, so make sure you check them out and support them. Take your mind off of things. It's all about love and supporting the scene. Guys, who is it that you would like to thank? Where can we check out your links at, and anything else that you want to say tonight?
You want to go? Sure. Huge thanks to, everyone in that diehard fan base.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Our friends and family.
Yeah. our
Family's
parents.
a big one, dude. You know, our family has been supported from the beginning, and you know, we wouldn't be where we are without them, dude. They were so important in this. So yeah, shout out to them. Thank you.
Shout out to my mom and dad, Big Mike.
Big Mike.
Yeah. I think
Tommy, yeah. You know, everybody. If
You
would
know,
come
you
to-
know.
dude. You know, and you know who you are, and we appreciate you. We appreciate you guys. We can't wait to see you guys again once this quarantine's over. Oh yeah, Mike Irvin, yeah. But yeah, for sure, we can't wait to get out of here and start playing shows again and seeing everybody. As far as announcements, Brett.
Announcements. Well, as of today, we Insult to Injury, the song you guys just heard, is now the opening theme song for the podcast is called, I think it's Bangin' Beers, something like that, which is funny because half of the band can't drink yet legally, but
Yeah.
but yeah, that's hosted by IWEP, I think that's what it is, network. Anthony Blackwell.
Yep.
Right?
Anthony,
Yeah,
Anthony,
that's you probably know more about him. Like, he's from Pottsville, I believe. He's from the Pottsville
Yeah, he's from our area.
Yeah.
He's been around some of our shows.
But yeah, so check out that podcast too. You can hear us opening some shows up.
Check them out, share it around. I'm always encouraging people to listen to other radio shows. That's another big thing. We talk about a lot of artists out there, actors and models and everything else that we bring on the show, but we don't give the radio show host credit enough, I guess, out there. So folks, listen to other podcasts. Find something that speaks to you. I listen to podcasting all the time. In fact, on my way to and from work on most days, I'm not even listening to music anymore. I'm listening to some type of show about shit that I'm interested in, because you can find something about everything. So make sure you support the stations out there. And guys, where can we check you out at? Since people are quarantined right now, they're sitting at home, they're bored, they're wanting to find new music and jam. Where can they find you? YouTube, Spotify, Facebook? What do we got you on?
Absolutely. Same places you're on and more, probably. We got Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud, Facebook, Instagram, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Google Play. If you want merch and you want to pick up a physical CD or a T-shirt or anything, that would be ultraviolent.bigcartel.com.
You can check it out on our Facebook page. I think we got a link in there.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do.
Just about everything except Twitter. We suck at Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter's like not existent. Like, what is that?
Yeah, Twitter is just too much for me, man. I have one, but I never really use it a whole lot because it just doesn't jive with what I'm trying to do.
Yes, exactly.
I don't fit in there.
I admittedly just made my first TikTok today.
No.
Yeah, but only for guitar riffs as of right now. So if you want some riffage, Pone Sauce 13.
That's his story, and he's sticking with it, folks.
Also, I wanted to say we're on SoundCloud, too. I think we forgot to mention that one.
I think I said that one.
Well, that's all right, man. You guys, check them out there. SoundCloud, any of the other sites that they mentioned, make sure you give them a like and a follow. Guys, anything else that you would like to say before we wrap up for the night?
Oh, thank you for having us on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
And thank you to everybody listening. We hope you enjoyed hearing about us. And,
and if you're re-listening at a later date, thank you for re-listening.
Yeah.
So the overall sentiment, folks, is thank you. They really appreciate it. I have a comment real quick before we close out for the night. It says, I love their name. Well, that's perfect. They love that you love their name.
Yeah.
Now, real quick, folks out there listening, we do have a show coming up on the 21st, Aurora in Peril on the show. The following week on the 28th, Flatline the Demon. So if you are a fan of UTU and listening to us weekly, that is 8 to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Thursday. I have a surprise guest on next week's show, so be watching out for that. And other than that, guys, I do want to thank you for coming on the show tonight, for sharing with us a little bit about you guys, letting us jam your music and meet you, and I look forward to bringing you back on a show again down the road.
All right, sounds good. Let's make it happen.
Absolutely. Well, you guys have a good night. Folks out there, we love you, and we'll catch you next time on Uncovering the Underground.
Yeah.
Thank you.